Aloha, everyone. Aloha.
Aloha.
Welcome to Hawaiian Mission House's Historic Site and Archives. I'm Tom Woods, Executive Director, and you're here for the last Mele Wahi Pana of the year, Waialua. It's going to be a fabulous show. I know you see these wonderful musicians and kupuna up here, so it's going to be an interesting night. So let's get on with it. Enjoy yourselves.
Wow, dalene waiki meia oko le meia no makone. The four Wahi Pana, our Mele Wahi Pana series have covered Waikiki, Waianai, Honolulu, and Waialua. Only two are moku, or large land districts made up of constituent ahupua. These would be Waianai, which we celebrated together some months back, and tonight's Wahi Pana, Waialua. The names of the 6 moku that make up Oahu are fascinating in their own right. The 2 windward districts are both named Kohola because the word Kohola means windward, and they're distinguished by the long and the short of it, Kohola Loa, Kohola Poko. Kona, in contrast, means leeward, and rightly so. It lies on the opposite side of Kohola districts and where both Waikiki and Honolulu are to be found, and where we sit tonight. Ewa means crooked or ill-fitting, and there are several interpretations of this name, from the way that the ahupua turned downward toward the rich fishing ponds in the locks of Pu'uloa, now called Pearl Harbor, to the unequal way the resources are set in the district, with one side rich and wet, and the other side dry and harsh, and in ancient times the realm of hungry ghosts, moths, and spiders. Then there's Waianai, the water of the mullet, the Anai. In ancient times as today, a place rich in fishing resources. And tonight we come to Waialua, that stretches from the westernmost tip of Oahu at Kaena Point, where the mole fly, to the valley of Waimea, the boundary of the neighboring Ko'olauloa district. And what does the name Waialua mean? There have been several interpretations, from the two main freshwater rivers of the district that empty into Kayaka Bay, the Kaukonahua River, and Waialua Bay, the Anahulu River, to the two sacred freshwater pools in the uplands of Kemo'o, near Wahiawa, and even to a chief named Waia who was doubly disgraced, Waialua, for his neglect of both the people and the gods. But for whatever reason Waialua is named, it's a place that straddles the Waianae Mountains, including the northern and eastern slopes of Ka'ala and the Ko'ola Mountains. It includes one of the richest shorelines for fishing of many kinds of fish. And it was the home to two large fish ponds famous for their abundance, Lokoea and Uko'a. As sacred ponds, they were presided over by the shark god Niukala, the eel god Puhi'ula, and the mo'o goddess Lani Wahine. Waialua is, according to Kamakau, where the first ruling chief in all of Hawaii held sway. He writes, Kapava was the first chief to be set up as a ruling chief. This was at Waialua, Oahu, and from then on, the group of Hawaiian islands became established as chief-ruled kingdoms. It was in Kapava's time that the famous birthstones of Ku'ukani Loko, also in Waialua, right outside of Wahiawa town today, were established as the place where the chiefs of highest mana were born. In the uplands of Waialua are the plains of Lihu'e, from which the island was governed until the time of the chief Oahu Nui. These traditions are held by some of the kupa of Waialua, such as Uncle Thomas Shirai, who joins us here tonight. To honor Waialua and Uncle Thomas and to prepare properly for this concert, our Ha-lau undertook a huaka'i, an excursion, in Waialua last weekend, and had the great good fortune of having Uncle Thomas along with us to stand in the famous localities and tell some of the stories. Our mission was to see and learn about each of the ahupua that make up Waialua, stopping in each of them. And depending on your sources, there are 8 to 14 ahupua that together comprise the moku of Waialua, and which, while time has obscured somewhat their boundaries and subsumed some of them into others, the Mele Wahi Pana that is in your program lists 13 of them in order from Kaena at the far western extremity of the moku to Kapaeloa at the eastern boundary of Waialua with Ko'olau district. There are numerous mo'olelo that are associated with each of these ahupua'a. And in the same way that olelo no ea are often lines extracted out of oli or mo'olelo, so some of these lines borrow from the mo'olelo and the mele that originate in Waialua. If you know the song Kalena Kai, for example, you know that mokule ia is described as a moena pa vehe, a fancy patterned mat. Since from a bird's eye view, the rich cultivated fields of mokule ia reminded the eye of the colorful geometric motifs of a fine makaloa mat. Oh, we could sit here for hours and tell those stories. Offer the chant of Hi'iaka when she first heard the thunderous ocean at Waialua, or her chant to the cliffs of Kaena, the story of the springs at Kealia and Kauai Hapai, the great heiau of the chief Ma'iliku Kahi at Pa'ala'a, the story of Ka'o Pulupulu, the last kahuna nui of Oahu, who saw the fate of his island at Kahoku Velo Velo Heiau in the Ahupua'a Punanui, and the story of the fishing god Kaena Point, who was shown hospitality by 2 old fishermen at Kapaeloa, the easternmost ahupua of Waialua, and were richly rewarded with fish. So this oli, composed by La-lani Ka-huna Kohola, reminds us that every place in Hawaii is a doorway to ancient knowledge and long history, and that we are enriched when we explore that knowledge. O e Waialua I ke kai leo nui. O Kaena. O ke alia. O ka wai hapai. O ki kahi. O ahupua. O mokule ia. O manalui. O pa'ala'a. O ta wailoa. O la hulu. O kuku iloloa. O punanue. O Kapaeloa. O Waialua la ieha. O ke Kaena. O te alia. O ka wai hapai. O ki kahi. O ahupua. O mokule ia. O ka manalui. O pa'ala'a. O ta wailoa. O la hulu. O kuku iloloa. O punanukue. O Kapaeloa. O Waialua la ieha. O Waialua. E Waialua I ke kai leo nui. So one of the great Hawaiian traditions that involves Waialua is the story of the romance of Halemano, a chief who was born to Ku Kaniloko and Wahiawa. Familiar names, aren't they? He grows to be a very handsome man, faultless in his physical beauty. But he meets a woman in his dreams named Kamalalawalu of Puna, falls in love with her, neglects the waking world, eats, drink, and dies of love. He is supernatural and brings him back to life. Then together go fetch Kamalalawalu in Puna. When they meet, they fall in love, and Halemanu abducts Kamalalawalu and flees to Uko'a in Waialua and are married at the great ceremony. Their love is for a while perfect and blissful, but Kamalalawalu is so beautiful that she's constantly courted by other chiefs, and she leaves Halemano, who once again dies pining for her. Lainihi, his sister, faithfully resuscitates Halemano and embarks him on training in hula and chant. Famous and skilled, and is able to woo Kamalalawalu through a game of kilu, that game played by men and women on opposite sides, where a target is placed before someone and a player tosses a special cut gourd or coconut toward it, and upon a hit, the winner may claim a tryst, or in Halemano's case, may offer a chant. So at every winning move, Halemano chants another verse of his love for Kamalalawalu, recounting blissful times together in Waialua. He speaks of waves when the sea is crashing on the shore of Waialua, heard so far inland that one would think the ocean is nearby, while standing on the plains of Lihue in the middle of the island. He speaks of the majesty of Ka'ala and the cool mists and fragrance where they tarried as lovers, while his sister Pule'e searched for his whereabouts. Well, he didn't want to be found at that time. He acknowledges that he has been deeply in love with Kamalalawalu, but finally he realizes that if that love is not returned, it does not mean that all is lost. For now he sees that other wahine would love him, perhaps more than his fickle dream lover. And he challenges her to return his love if indeed he would once more offer it to her. And if you don't know the end of that story, you should read it in 4 and under. Meanwhile, enjoy the beauty of Waialua seen through the eyes of love as we offer a hula based on the Kilu chant of Hale Manu, created specially for this audience and performed publicly for the first time tonight. Anui mai ke kai o Waialua.
Mai ke kai o Waialua, mo iupu kale nai hale au au. Mai ana kona roa i o une, i ku i ke ole ali i ue. Ke la ai na nana i galani, kuia e lano i awai na he kai e. Anui mai ke kai o Waialua, moi pupu kale nai hale au au. Au mai ana kona roa i o une, i ku i ke ole ali i ue. Ke la ai na nana i galani, kuia e lano i awai na he kai e. Kie kua ka ala i luna, e po anui ana ke hau. He hau mai ka makani hali hali ala, ke lino a mai a e ka wai koroa. Ke uli nei o pule e a ula. Kie kua ka ala i luna, e po anui ana ke hau. E hau mai ka makani hali hali ala, te lino a mai na e ka wai koloa. Te uli nei o pule e a ula. Mala maloko he no ne, a ka karoko i ka ike a ke aloha. O aloha o mariu mai o e au e au e. Mala maloko e no ne, a ka karoko i ka ike a ke aloha. O aloha o mariu mai o e au e au e. Aine au e tu aine.
Mahalo for that. Our opening kahiko entree into the world of Waialua.
Mahalo nui e Kohu and wonderful Ha-lau. Good evening, everyone. Aloha yahi, and welcome to our Wahi Pana program. And now we're going to share with you the mele and many stories. We hope that we can get through all of them with a rich amount of ike we have here from the many of those of our kupuna who are here with us, and from Waialua. And let me start off by just making sure I get through the musicians first, and then we have a chance to share with you our guests, our special guests from Waialua tonight. But on my far right, we have, of course, Ken Makuakane. Many of you have seen Ken with us and in our programs, composer and a musician and a wonderful singer. I'll tell you, good to have him on our team. Brother Ken Makuakane. And then right next to him is George Kuo, our slacky guitarist, Hoku winner, very, very good friend. And then next to myself on my right is, of course, Alan Akaka, who has performed many times with on our Wahi Pana programs. Alan Akaka on steel. And then yours truly, Aaron Mahi, of course. But I'm going to start with the audience first because we have an overflow of kupuna with us tonight, which I didn't think, because Waialua is so far away. I figured, boy, if they're going to stop at Zippy's tonight after we pow, they're not going to get home till like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I was a little cautious about my invitations, but one of our kupuna who are here, there's 3 of them. The first, I want to recognize the 3 that I see here. And I saw Auntie Betty Jenkins. Auntie Betty, mahalo for joining us tonight. Betty has been so much a part of our Hawaiian culture for our opio, many, many years with OHA and sharing with her kupuna program the traditions of our Hawaiian people. Next to her was, of course, is Auntie Laila. Auntie Laila Paoa, Kawana Nakua, and the famous Paoa family from Molokai. She's joining us tonight too. Aloha mai. And then we have Francis. Francis Forsyth over here. Uncle Francis, many years with Hawaiian Civic Club, and another one, a holder of much knowledge. They hold the torches. They hold the lama lama kukui of Waialua. And then I go to my far left over here on the stage. And he was the first one I saw. We were at a LUC meeting. I sit on the Land Use Commission, and I saw Uncle Bill coming in, and we were talking about some wind farms that are going up in the area, and then some of the owners of that land are the Robinson family, and he sits on that board of directors for the Robinsons. And Uncle Bill Patey, who's I don't have to introduce him because he's like, he's a history book in itself, for all the wonderful work that he's done for our Hawaii, serving our Hawaii. So Uncle Bill Patey. Right next to him is a classmate of mine, lives over there right across from Ipak, the Awai family over there. And this is Keith Awai. He and I are 71s from Kamehameha. And Brother Keith is with Hawaiian, what do you call the Polynesian Cultural Center, and really teaches and guides them in hula and the ways of traditions of our Hawaii. Next to him it is Mama, Auntie Kanani Awai, yeah. And I was with a classmate, and this is Auntie Noi Mahoi today, Noi Lani Mahoi. She goes, hey, that's my classmate, and she had a special name for you, Babalito. I call her Babalito. I don't call her Kanani. You know how Auntie is, yeah, Noelani. So I forgot the name, but Auntie Kanani. Another round of applause. Auntie Kanani with us, Awai. And then right next to me, Tommy and I, Shirai, we served together on the Oahu Burial Council, Island Burial Council, yeah. And this guy he's one cowboy. You gotta watch out, boy. He come right on down, shooting the 6 shooters right and left hand going, So everybody, how about a round of applause for our brother Tommy Shirai for joining us. As we go along tonight, I'm going to be looking at the panel and asking the panel to share with us and give us a little light on the songs that we're going to be sharing. In fact, we have a surprise. We were going to do a hakumele tonight, but now the hakumele is out because we have a hakumele that Auntie is going to share with us, Auntie Kanani, later on in the program. But our next selection, which is talking about that Haleiwa, was it the Haleiwa Hotel? Was that it? Yeah? That Haleiwa, let's start with Haleiwa Paka, Haleiwa Park, right? And let's see, who wants to share about that? Auntie Kanani, you want to share? We'll let the women start.
I really...
Yeah, try say test.
Hello?
Yeah.
Ken?
Is it on?
Yeah, you on. Just go straight into the mic.
Haleiwa Paka.
Little higher shine.
We're right across the street.
No, don't touch
Our Hali is right across the street from there.
Can you hear her?
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. In the song, they talk, as a young boy, many of us had baseball at Ha-lau Park. But they talk about all the hau trees. At one time, it was all filled with hau, and the hau grew on all the terraces, terraces, and around the corner had this little snack bar that we would go and eat. But that's my memory of Ha-lau. I cannot tell you about the ancient past. I wasn't there. But I can tell you about when I was born in there. But right now, Ha-lau Park is very popular for soccer. So it changed from baseball to soccer. But the hau trees of that park was very, very famous. Yeah, besides the swimming area there. But it's a lot different now from when we were small because they made a new beach and all this kind of stuff at Ha-lau Park. Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to ask Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill, you want to share a little bit about Ha-lau Paka?
I would tell you what, it's got a real history on its own. And I can imagine when I was a youngster, down Mokolea side mostly, and coming out up into Waialua, the plantation store to buy some stuff for cacao. And the time when the ice man came and brought the ice inside and put him into an ice box in my grandma's place. I can tell you, there's something special about that time, and it was always a precious time for me to remember.
That's good. Well, let's start with it. And then I know there's so much that is what we shared tonight. Okay, Alan, start us in the key of D, 2 up. And the wonderful girls of the beautiful Ha-lau. Hano hano, hano hano, vale oe, haliva, haka, ohu ohu I kapomohe, o kabua. Hano hano vale oe e haliva paka ohu ohu I kapomohe o kabua o kaluli mahali e o kalau o kaliu Ike ahe olu A Kamamolikolehua O kaluli Mahi e O ka-lau o ka-niu Ike ahe olu A Kamamolikolehua Lau kanaka mau oe Lau kanaka mau e I ka lehu E ki pa mahuana E ike I kohunani Ha-lau kanaka mau oe I ka lehu E ki pa mahuana E ike I kohunani Ka oe a ke kei I ke ahe one E kono mahian E luana I ke kaua E ka oe a ke kei I ke ahe one E kono mahiana E luana I ke kaua Uana ka ikena I kou nani Hano hano mau ohe E haleiva lovely will. Oh, kaliko Kamamolikolehua. Mahalo nui. Kamamolikolehua of the students of Sister Pohai. We continue now with a contemporary song. And, we're so glad we have Ken with us. Because Ken can also always he has the voice for these contemporary songs. And so this song is called The Shores of Haleiwa. And this was, of course, by the famous composer. You folks know who composed this, yeah? Yeah. I'm going to ask Tommy to talk story.
The most I know about this song was that it was written by my grandfather's uncle, and his name is Bill Habaro. And it was performed by Ohana, recorded on a record by the name of Loyal Gardner.
Who's that?
Auntie Loyal used to, when we were going to school, I'm the youngest one on this board. I get to be the baby again. To give back to the community, she would always give an annual concert to the Waialua High School faculty and children. And standing room only every time she came, but quite a musical family. And that's a spin-off of the Alicia Smith Ohana. And like Auntie Betty, my wife and I are a neighbor just up the street in Crozier Loop. Right next to us was the Alicia Smith and her family in the Hula studio. But my grandfather used to get mad because we're PWC and they go way into the night, so they had to rearrange the bedrooms. So, but that's what I can share about this. Thank you.
And now, Ken Makuakane, Shores of Haleiwa.
As the surf booms on the shore of Haleiwa, while my heart beats for the one I truly do adore. At night I lie awake and dream of you, my love. They say that dreams often do come true. While standing on the seashore, listening to the rolling sun. Oh, how I wish that I could be sure that you'll still love me so. Someday we'll meet again at Haleiwa. You and I will roam the shores once more. While you're standing on the seashore and listening to the rolling surf, oh, how I wish that I could be sure that you'll still love me shores once more.
Mr. Ken Makuakane. Mahalo, Ken.
Nice, Ken.
And of course, on steel guitar, Mr. Alan Akaka. And more importantly, the steel that he's using tonight is Tommy's grandpa's steel guitar. So we got Waialua all the way. We got Waialua all the way over here. So, and now we have, let's talk story about the Haleiwa Hotel now. Okay? Let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, brother's going to still talk about the steel guitar.
For especially the kupunas out there, that yes, I'm very privileged to have Alan playing the steel, and with that, he brings my grandpa's essence and spirit back alive. And there's a lot of history that goes with that steel guitar. When you go down to Waialua, there's a store called Otake Store. And at Otake Store, my grandfather was the foreman that remodeled the store, and that's why it's still standing today. And as a gift and a show of appreciation, he took him to, back in the day for the musicians, this store called Metronome in downtown Honolulu. He went in the Metronome store and he just said, pick any guitar you want or any instrument, because he had a combo that he played, a small combo, and plus at PWC Pearl Harbor he had friends that played music too. So he chose that. They bought him that steel guitar. He practiced, and then one day Gabi Pahinoi came down to Waialua, and my grandpa's combo had just finished and Gabi didn't have a steel, so my grandpa lent him the steel. And it took a year before the steel came back to my grandpa. He missed his steel, and when he got it back, he just put it in the case for many years. And then on my 25th birthday, he gave that steel to me for my birthday present. And then I had it refurbished at Sunny D Ukuleles in Waipahu. And then at Guitar Works in Kaka'ako by the Gold Bond Building, the original pickup, they started the original pickup and put it back to working order. I played it a couple times and then put it back in the case until this event. Wow. And so I am very happy that Alan and everybody here. So thank you.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Let's talk about Haleiwa Hotel. Can we talk a little bit? Auntie Kanani, you want to share some information, some stories on that?
I was in Kamehameha schools, and
Are you folks hearing this okay? You guys hear okay? No?
no,
Shine. We need this mic a little higher.
okay. I went to Kamehameha schools,
And the monitors too.
One summer, I had a boyfriend,
Is that better?
and he came from Haleiwa. His parents, his father, owned property in Haleiwa, and we would visit Haleiwa, and I do remember the hotel. We didn't go into it, but we would walk outside of it. The story I have, the Awais, my father-in-law, James L. Awai Sr., played music. George Awai played music. And Auntie, what's her name? Auntie was Helen. Auntie by Waimea, Auntie Lorna Berger. They were the musicians in the Haleiwa Hotel.
Oh, mahalo, Auntie Kanani. Oh, yeah, brother, what did you share?
There is something unique. If you look at the archival postcards of Haleiwa Hotel, some of you will notice lauhala mats in the interior and stuff. They were woven by 3 Hawaiian women. Lahi Webb, Anike Ahipaka, kupuna to my grandpa, and my grandpa's mother, Clara Napuake Kau Kakulu. They wove the lauhala mats.
Wow. This is a song that has many, many poku. There are a lot of verses. And so we're not going to translate them all, but enjoy it. We're going to do like 2 and then one of all the verses. There are 10 verses, 10 poku. And again, the lovely women of Ha-lau Kamamolikolehua.
Here we go. Are you ready? Fasten your seatbelt.
Hano hano haleiwa kukila hila tahokelegu ikalike. Hano 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 haleiwa kukila hila tahokelegu ikalike. He makana hiva hiva no ana hulu akamalihinia e kipa Mahi Kanani o ia home Pilehi kabua o ka Kehola Alehana pua ena I ka ehu kai Ua wali ke one o mai mai o piehu me kahie hie uai vai olu me kana he na he e ho hi e no kahalo I bua piano hone ke kakaia ka o he no ia e kau I ka hili ai ka hola e rima o ke ahi ai ana pakauila hana kuhupaiana Kahai Hawaii o kahai Hawaii kau aloha te kau Aina ia
you know, whenever I used to go to Haleiwa, with two of the organizations that I'm with, well, I was with the Hawaiian band, and from time to time we will be invited to go over to Liliuokalani Church, and of course they have their annual luau, and all of you, have you folks been to the luau over at Liliuokalani Church? Oh, you folks raise your hand. You know, the food over there is so ono. I'm not going to talk about the food because we'll be here all night, okay? But I want, let's see, our panel. Can we share a little bit about Liliuokalani Church? I mean, maybe Bill, or if you want to talk about the festivities over there. Oh, I might even ask Auntie Betty. Betty, you want to say something? Kid, you want to go take that mic down? Go say, Auntie Betty. Oh, I know, brother. We're going to ask Auntie Betty to share a little bit about Liliuokalani Church.
I really should not be, because I was born and raised on a big island before I moved to Waialua, but our church was, and it was a place that was so beautiful, because that's where the queen, and it's her, what do you call it, the clock.
Yeah, the clock over there.
And that arch. As children, we were more interested in what was going on, in the church. But always the manner in which we were taught about sitting in church, especially one that the Queen had been sitting in herself, one look from the minister, or one look from our parent was enough. You need to sit there like a statue, because this was a very special place. It still is. And even now, if you are in doubt about wanting to breathe yesterdays, that's where you should visit the church, look at the clock, know that whatever happened those many years ago remains in a now very busy town. I really think people who were born there should be speaking instead of me, because I feel like I came there. But while I have the, maybe I ought to just say this. And then I had little or no knowledge about Waialua or Haleiwa. And when I was in college in Ohio, my mother wrote me a note and said, we have bought a piece of property in Haleiwa, not Haleiwa, in Waialua. And all I could answer her with, where? And why? I have to admit that it was years later when I returned from college and had my two children that were born on the mainland, and I came home with a haole husband. It was a wonderful thing that my family did, because I still live there, and many, many of you, I am so proud of you to see you there tonight, because we are not only neighbors, but we love where we live, and we know that it's God's country. Thank you so much to all of you.
Thank you, Auntie Betty. Thank you for sharing. You know, can I ask Uncle Francis? Can Uncle Francis share just a bit about Liliuokalani Church? I know I remember the Sam Safri, Kahu Safri, many years. Yeah. You could share a little bit.
Hello. Okay. Yeah. Mahalo, Aaron. You know, one of the things I remember about them, although they came long before I came on earth, is the Emersons that started the church there back in 1832. And they were the ones that helped to, what I was going to say, I don't mean educate, but to help the Hawaiians become more marketable and have the skills in order to live in a Western world. And when you go to Haleiwa, you will see many things that they did. Mrs. Emerson did the school for girls. It was called Haleiwa Seminary for Girls. A few other things to help the young women progress in life. They were very advanced in the things that they wanted to do. There have been 4, I think, constructions of the building there, and the latest one that they have now, of course, and like you said, to talk about the luau is really something. August is always the first week in August, if anybody's interested in it. But it is a good place, and I think of the Emersons, and of course, Chief La'anui, who was the one that was converted to that religion there. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo, Uncle Francis.
Thank you.
We have something special to share with you all this evening. Brother Keith is going to share a beautiful mele, which is part of the name of our queen, Makalapua. And I'm going to have him talk about this mele to share tonight. Go ahead, brother.
Maybe just for those that didn't understand what Auntie Betty meant by the clock. In Lilo Kalani Church, there is a clock that uses her name instead of numbers that makes up the clock. Yeah. Well, the queen had a train called the Lanakila, and there are chants that were, created for that. And this is one that was taught to be by my teacher. I had the opportunity of learning really from 2 women. I started at Kamehameha with Auntie Nona Beamer. Then when I went to Church College of Hawaii, I met Auntie Sally Wood Naluai, and I spent the rest of my years with her. But this was given to me by her, and it's about the queen taking a train ride. I'm going to sit down over there, so.
It's all wet this way.
Yeah, because it's all wet.
Yeah? No.
Yeah.
All right.
Oke e akahau ka I kubuili Hai hona o lui hoa o halama Oke e akahau ka I kubuili Hai hona o lui hoa o halama Wala waka I kena I te awalau Ia e waka
Tell me what you want. I'll get it for you.
Ikai hoki au no iui ahupua ke a o Koholea Ikai hoki au no iui ahupua ke a o Koholea Aina ia mai na hapuana o aloi ka I Kohala kila Aina ia mai na hapuana o aloi hai o halana kila. Hei noa no ke li wahi lili o kalani.
Mahalo. Mahalo. Oh, brother. Oh, that was beautiful. We're not going to honor Lili'u with that. I think Tommy wants to talk a little bit about this. He could tell a little story. I'm sorry this ua been coming down, but our first one had ua, and our last one got ua. So I tell you, just hang in there, everyone. But Tommy, we're going to sing the song that honors our queen, Lili'u Kalani. And I know it as the Queen's Hula or E Lili'ue.
Everybody upstairs happy, that's why raining. This is a very special song. Lili'ue is a chant, yes. It was composed by my great-great-granduncle, and his name He was a noted Kumu Hula. His name is Anton Ka'o'o. His family lived at, you seen in the news, the Palap Kai Bakery. Well, that area is called Kamamolikolehua, and that's where his family is from. There's another famous Kumu Hula, a contemporary in later years, that also resides from there. That his family has a street name. It's Daro Lupenui. There's a Lupenui place over there, and so Anton Ka'o'o, as you folks know, is not only a noted Kumu Hula. He went to La-lani and he is also a tremendous athlete. And he specialized in marathon running, and he's won many. If you read the biography and newspaper articles, he won many events. Yeah, and what is encouraging is that even at an older age, he was able to defeat those competing against him in their 20s. And here this man was in his 40s. And I'm very proud that he's part of one of our kupunas in my family. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Well, we're going to do Eliliwe. Anybody else want to share? Anybody else want to share? Okay, we're good. Let's start in. Now, this is going to be we're going to sing, and then I'm going to let different guys play instrumentals, and it's just going to be a celebration of our queen. Okay, ready?
Ko maka e no me o
because apparently his turn is. Okay, don't forget, you got a few months to the next August, and let's go down and have some Hawaiian food.
Yeah.
When we were talking and planning the program for this evening, Tommy was almost I think you were at every meeting. I was in the hospital with my foot, and Tommy was with his 2 legs. We always meet each other on Thursdays at the diabetes limb clinic. It's where the Hawaiians hang out, in the morning. They open it's the best time, from 8:30 in the morning to 12 o'clock. You get all the Hawaiians down there up in Waialua, So anyway, and I saw Bill. When Bill came, I thought, oh, brother, you get the left leg, the right leg, I get the left leg. Oh, I tell you, what happens to us? Oh, please. Anyway, Tommy was talking about the fishing traditions of Haleiwa. Maybe we could share a little bit about that. Tommy, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that might be.
The one thing about where we're from, the fishing grounds is very famous. Fishing grounds. There's many fishing we call koas, fishing koas, and they reflect also in the names of the street right up the subdivision where we live in Mokuleia. There's a subdivision called Puiki. And the names of the streets coincide with the fishing koas outside of where we live. There's an Aveoveo Street and on Aveoveo Park. There's an Akule Street. There's an Au Street. There's an Apuhihi Street, and so on and so forth. The street names in our district have a lot of mana. And they're not at random that somebody liked it because the names sound good. They coincide with the land that was once a breadbasket. And that's why when Liu came down and to Mokuleia and said, Kamuena pavehe o Mokuleia, he meant it. The fisheries and the land. You can't dissect it apart. And we were so rich that we had our own taro company, Haleiwa Poi Factory. And it reflected. We never buy Honolulu poi at that time. Poi was good and was cheap. $3 you can fill up one big Tupperware container, 50 cents a bag. But that was then, but that's how it was. You see remnants of the taro patches and stuff of that sort, and some of the schools are still out there, but they're not as plentiful as before, and we're trying to find ways to so it adds for the future generations and stuff. Okay.
I'm going to ask Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill, you want to share a story? I remember once when Uncle Bill was head of DLNR, and we're having all these problems with sharks coming in. Uncle Bill, you remember that?
Oh, I remember too well.
Chai, make sure you get this one now. Uncle Bill, you want to share about that, your years with DLNR and the time we had the problem with the mano over there?
Well, they had a couple of attacks in our area down there, and the question was, well, the park sharks going to stay over there, or are they going to go on? It's safe to go swimming, and so They asked me, what do you think? You have Dylan, is it okay to go? I said, well, if you don't have any problems with the shark, go. But actually, we were very lucky. We had there's a minimal time of that, and the Amakuas were good to us, and so we always look back on that time and say, well, there was something we could have done without, but nonetheless, that's all part of Haleiwa.
Oh, mahalo, Uncle Bill. We're gonna go. We're gonna do one of the fishing songs, and the song that we're gonna feature George Kuo, and the song is called Aloha Kamanini. Now we know this song comes from Ni'ihau, but it just defines the enjoyment of our reef fish and how we enjoy how that the different kind of fish there on the apapa, and from the manini to the what do you call nenue and the kala and what else they have? Oh, the ahole, with the lena, when the stomach come all yellow over there, and you eat with the sweet potato pie, that uala, po uala. And we're going to have George to think about how we enjoy our fish. One more sentence, brother.
It's appropriate to, even though it's a Niihau song, we have at Kaena Point, there is a place in Kaena called Manini Holo. That's the traveling school of Manini, yeah. And we have a gauch named Manini Holo Gauch.
Aloha Kamanini. Make a popolo. Of the kala when you cut down opu, will ya? Kala kane nui o kana vele, wani ke ala ke honi aku.
Kapuana. Aloha Kanani me ka popolo. Aina ia mai ana Kapuana. Aloha Kanani me ka popolo.
Aloha kamanini, mega popo.
I can taste it now.
Oh, I tell you. Well, before we take our break and maybe get a little me'ai, we're gonna end this portion, our first portion of our program, with a mele, which of course we all know Waialua and how it's mentioned in the mele of Koniaui Kawai Hui Hui. You know, that was the resting place for our King Kalakaua. To get away, of course, from the strain and stress of Honolulu and things facing the kingdom, and so how he speaks so fondly of Waialua, and how he finds that place going back to the, just to the backlands and to the area of his makua, his kupuna, and how they just brought so much solace to him. So we're going to ask you to sing along. Konio i kawai hui hui will be led by Alana Kaka.
Everybody. Konio, konio, ikawai. Konio, ikawai. Konio, ikawai, hui hui. Ikawai ani io ke kinila. Oluai, kanona o kalai.
mahalo. Alanakaka. Again, everyone, have a round of applause for our wonderful panel tonight. Our Uncle Bill, Keith Awai, Uncle Auntie Kanani, Brother Tommy, our wonderful musicians, and our lovely Ha-lau tonight, our two Ha-lau. We'll take a break, about 15 minutes, and then we'll see you back here for the second, hope so not wet half. Okay. Okay, wow, let's take a break.
Okay.
Hey, so sorry, Uncle Bill. Oh, empty.
Yeah, that's okay.
Aloha, are we all gathered back? Almost everyone? Yeah. Mahalo nui, everyone. How about a round of applause for the good senator, Senator Daniel K. Akaka, who came tonight to weather these blessings tonight with us. And you gotta go say aloha to the kupuna. That's important, you know. So, oh boy, I have to go say aloha. Yeah. Boy, so everyone, did you folks get enough to eat? Yeah. You got something. Okay. Before we lose our audience, I see a lot of niho ole out there. I tell you, the audience look like one wow with the niho ole. So, okay. Well, they're going to say aloha, and then we're going to bring up Kaleo Brown. To begin our second half, our brother Kalama is ill, down with a cold, and maybe good he didn't make it with his ua coming down. But to perform this ole of Heva Heva, we have a descendant of Heva Heva again, and this is our brother Kaleo Brown, and he will be standing in for our brother Kapigan tonight. Yeah, so. Aloha, brother.
Translation of this prayer. This prayer is an important prayer on behalf of Heva Heva himself. He had to surrender his authority to the new coming of Jehovah. And so that surrendering of his authority, was very emotional. He had heard, with conversations from the sailors that have come before, of a new God, a God that he was very familiar with. And so I'm to share this with you. I'm going to share the translation, and then I'll do the pulley itself. Okay. It goes like this. Arise, stand up, stand. Fill up the ranks, stand in rows and stand. Lest we be in darkness in the black night. Yea, thorny heart, unreceptive insides, assemble a multitude and stand. A great God, a mighty God, a living God, an everlasting God is Jehovah, a visitor from the skies. A God dwelling afar off in the heights, at the farthest ends of the wind, in the rolling cloud floating in the air, a light cloud resting on the earth, a rainbow standing on the ocean, is Jehovah, our Redeemer. By the path from Kahiki to us in Hawaii, he comes. From the zenith to the horizon, a mighty rain from the heavens, Jehovah, the Supreme, we welcome. Sing praises to the rolling heaven. Now the earth rejoices. We have received the words of knowledge, power, and life. Gather with the crowd assembly in the presence of the ever mighty Lord. Pray with reverence of Jehovah. For a mighty priest of the islands, who like a torch will reveal our great sins, that we may live through Jesus. Amen. Kula ia kula, Ia kula lane kula. O po ulila po ele la. O pu kala lau ia e kula. E akua nui, e akua mana, e akua ola, e akua mau. Ie ova ke kamaele mai kalani mai, e akua noi ka iu iu. O ka vele lau o ka makani, I loko ke au. Ka alelewa, e ohu ka onua, e anohi ku ka moana. E kuko kako ka lala, mai ke alai ka hiki a Hawaii, mai ko kuia ka lawai. E u ka ua mai ka lane, I ova I ko make. I mene I ka lani ka kua, ke oli ne ka unua. Ua loa a, ka ua olelo, o ka ike, o ka mana, o ke ola. Halawa I ke alo boki, I ke alo ka haku mana mau. Pule pono ia Yehova, I ka huna mana no nā moku. Behe lama I ke hewa nui, I ola ia mako apau, I ola ia Yesu. Mene.
Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo nui. Now call upon the lovely women of Ha-lau, Kamamolikolehua. And they're going to take us to the area of Kaena. And you heard us, Brother Tommy, talking about Kaena, you know, that gathering of the manini there. And I'm sure the Minibino Kalena Kai, Hale Au. And we're doing 2 renderings tonight. And so we present to you the lovely women of Ha-lau Kamamolikolehua in Kalena I Hale Au.
Kalena I hale au au. Pa. O kalena. O kalena I hale au au. A ole huea I malama nui. O kalena I hale au au. A ole huea I malama nui. Kalai o Kaena la, ka mamua, a o la hulu no, me pu'u kapu. Kalai o Kaena la, ka mamua, a o la hulu no, me pu'u kapu. O ka ehu o ke kai, ka moena pawehe o mokuleia. O ka ehu o ke kai, ka moena pawehe o mokuleia. O ka waiho o luka ua, a o ka ala, o mai I luna. O olu ka ua a o ka ala no mai I luna. O hale mano, lului ka lehua a o wai malu no noho I ka malu. O hale mano, lului ka lehua a o wai malu no noho I ka malu. Haina ia mai, ana ka puana o ka lua o na lani la hei noa. Haina ia mai, ana ka puana o ka lua o na lani la hei noa. Kei nono, lili o ka lani.
And now we'd like to do for you the Western version of Kalena Kai Hale Au Au. Are two versions of Kalena Kai Hale Au Au. There's another song that we're going to do tonight, which I want to ask our panelists tonight what memories come back to them in the song, which talks about Mount Ka'ala. And you know, the way to go up to Mount Ka'ala, you have to go from the Mokulia side, yeah, to go up. and make your way up. What fond memories do you have? Uncle Bill, what fond memories of you have Mount Ka'ala?
Mount Ka'ala is always there. When we come by, we think, we remember what we did when we first went up there with kids, and we went up ourselves when we were more Makuli, but it is a very special place and the highest point on the entire island.
And do you want to say something first? Pete, you want to say something? No. Okay. Mount Ka'ala now. That's a very special mountain for us here. And it's actually one of the olelo. And in fact, for our family, that's where on a clear day when you're coming down on the H1 and you're heading towards Waialua, you just passed Mililani town on the on-ramp. On a very clear day, you can see if you look very closely at Mount Ka'ala, you will see an outline of a pregnant woman. That's the mongolelo of what we call in ahupua kawai hapai. It is from that everything, just like a domino effects, all the mo'olelos leads to kamoena pavehe o mokuleia. The name places and stuff of that sorts all interact with that. And if you look for the word, the root word is hapai, and we all know hapai is lift them up, carry them up. There's a very hidden kauna about hapai also. In a spiritual sense, hapai can mean exalted or blessed. Blessed in the form of the water, vai kumu ole, which fed the taro patches. And what happens when you feed the taro patches? You have productivity and sustainability. It feeds everything. So that when you see the pregnant woman on a clear day, you are looking at Waialua.
And just a note, we see the cliffs of Kaneohe on that side a lot. But when you go on the Waianae side and you look deep into the valleys, you can see the same thing. So there's lots of beauty pertaining to Ka'ala on that side. And as young children, in our house, the rule was, as soon as the sun sets, you better be in a yard. So, so Ka'ala had a big role in that because the sun would go down on the other side, yeah. So we had to watch. We had to watch attentively to make sure. If we heard a whistle from my mom, we were too late. We were too late. But, there's just as much beauty in Ka'ala, the cliffs of Ka'ala, as there are for the Kohola Mountains.
Another form of Ka'ala, if you're looking at it towards not only the land sustainability, but in the fishing sense too. I remember growing up, when now we have global warming, the tides used to, when the summer months and stuff, used to recede very dry, okay? When it comes real dry, and right at the shoreline, you see seepages of water coming out of the sand. Those are not cesspools, and especially like where Auntie Betty and my wife and I live, it comes, Mount Ka'ala is right in the back right there. Those seepages come from that mountain and that range, and it goes out and it feels so. When you guys go out in the ocean swimming in certain spots, whether it's near shore or out in the shoreline, you come to spots that are extremely cold. Those are springs, and that feeds the fish and the marine life.
The only thing I remember about Mount Ka'ala was when we used to have to go up there with the Nature Conservancy. We had to eradicate some of the non-indigenous species. And the birds would a lot of times eat, what do you call that now? Blueberries. And then so they would take blackberry. And they would go up there, and then I guess when they, ho'opau, they plant all the seeds of the blackberry up there. So we used to bring back, so much blackberry. But we couldn't bring it back and eat it because they wanted to completely destroy them because they were taking over all the indigenous plants up there in Ka'ala. So anyway, that was my memory of being on top there. It's a beautiful sight if you ever have a chance to go up. But we're going to sing this song, and this is recorded by many, many artists, and I'll try my best to sing it. When we get to the hui, you guys all join me, okay? Uluwehi kaluna o ka'ala, kahiko ia maila e ka'ohu, alava kumaka iluna, kapiko ake anuenue, alava kumaka ilalo, kahulale akawai liula, awana ike kula olelehua, meka ipo hone hone o ke ao moe. Hamai kamakani Hawaii, ho ino ino nei kamanao, ilaila maua I pili ai, a meka ipo hone hone o ke ao moe. How's that, Alan? Ohihi aku au e ike, I ka wai ani ani o uka, o ia wai one a ka manu, ka ome ana I ka manao, o ke ahe mai a ke hali mai I ke ala ona ona, o wai ka wale ana iho, ka mapoli nahe nahe o kuipo. Amai kamakani he moa e, o ino ino nei I kamanao, I laila maua e pili ai, meka ipo hone hone o ke ao moe. Meka ipo hone o ke ao Mahalo. Sorry, I'm not laying in my shadow. Oh, boy. I remember when she recorded that song. Oh, it was so beautiful. Oh, okay. That was the first song I had to get through. I was just sweating about that one. Okay. Okay, what's the next on the program? Oh, okay. Okay, now we have a song that. What we're gonna do? Did we do that? Oh yeah, no, we're gonna do Mokule'ia. And to tell the story about this song, Mokule'ia, is none other than our Kumu Hula, Pohai Souza, and she's gonna share the story of this song, Mokule'ia. It kind of talks about a party, having a party out there.
You need one clip.
And you know what clip?
Yeah. Okay.
You want another one? Wala one.
You need another one.
Everyone, how about a round of applause for Sister Pohai?
Aloha mai kako.
All right.
I'm very nervous up here. I don't normally sing in front of an audience. I sing in the Ha-lau only because I have to. But I've been tasked with telling you the story about this particular composition by Uncle K, who is Kahuano Lake, but we lovingly refer to him as Uncle K. And he wrote this and was inspired to write this because they were on their way to go to Mokuleia, to the Dillingham Ranch. And it was on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of Hula Records. And in this particular song, or in his car, I should say, in his car, it was he, and I am assuming someone else was in the front seat of his car, probably Tommy Lake, his brother. And in the back seat of his car was Auntie Mikey Ayu Lake, and also Maddie Lamb. Now, the reason he was inspired to write this song, because Auntie Maddie, those of you who know her, she was a very serious musician. I kind of likened her to the nuns that I grew up with at Sacred Hearts. She wasn't always jovial, but on this particular occasion, with Auntie Mikey in the back seat, I think they might have had what Auntie Mikey referred to as a few beauties beforehand. And so they were carrying on in the back seat of this particular car and acting like little schoolgirls, just laughing and giggling away. And it was very distracting to Uncle K, who took a wrong turn. Not being used to driving down that side of the island, he took a wrong turn. And so that just added to more frivolity in the back seat of the car. They just laughed and giggled away. And so the very first line of this song says, "He loa ke ala." It was a long way to get to this paina, to this party at Mokuleia at the Dillingham Ranch. And then he goes on to describe the people there, the musicians, the hula dancers, the ono food, the ono Hawaiian food that they had. And then he thanks our Lord our Almighty for having this wonderful day. So we're going to do for you Mokuleia. Mahalo.
Mahalo, the lovely women. Hello, Mamo, Nikolehua, and Pohai, who really can sing. Give her another round of applause. She
Hey,
does
all
sing.
right. Sky. Waialua Sky. Oh, that one. Waialua.
Eh, eh. We're going to have Sam introduce this next number. Again, Waialua.
Now, yes. Oh my gosh. So in the story of Pele and Hi'iaka Ikapoleo Pele was sent by her sister on a quest across the archipelago to fetch Kauai chief Lohiau. When Hi'iaka was on Oahu, she passed through Waialua and was struck by the rumble of the sea far below. So loud was this sound that even in Wahiawa it was heard on the plain of Lihue. So she chanted it. So similar then are the lyrics to the popular song about Kalapana, right? Kalapana kaileo dui walono ikau hole. It's all the same except the place names used. Ledward Ka'apana told the story about this song. He said that in his mama Tina Ka'apana's house was a picture of Kalapana and then and a plaque below it that had that poem with Kalapana and Hole with the words instead of Waialua and Wahiawa. And he liked that poem so much, he put it to music, he had it to record it, it was ready to go on a Hui Ohana album, but they never put it on. So it had to wait until he was with Ikona, and then later on, Dennis Pavao also recorded it on one of his albums. And since that time, the song has become a much beloved anthem of the Kalapana area, but we're celebrating Waialua tonight. So we reclaim the original lyrics of Hi'iaka for Waialua. And we add 2 more verses. You can find these in your program. And now that you have heard some of the olelo of Waialua, the second verse of Mokule'ia and Kaena should be very familiar to you. And we should mention that Ka'ala, in addition to being the prominent mountain of Waialua, is the home of Kaiona, the goddess of travelers. And her sign is the frigate bird soaring above. And so if Mokule'ia looks like a fancy pattern map from an Eva's eye view, then that's also the view of the goddess Kaiona as she watches over the travelers of Waialua. Our dancers tonight even sport feathers of the mo'oli, the albatross, that are nesting once again at Kaena Point, thanks to the protection of a predator-proof fence there. So once again, for the first time in public, we offer the expanded version of O Waialua Kaileo Nui.
Tommy said, we can go all night or what? I don't think we'll go all night. Well, let's, I'm gonna detour now to Auntie Kanani. And before we ask Auntie Kanani to sing a special song that she brought tonight, we're gonna check whether you hear us or not. Do you folks hear us out there? Is it coming out? I think our monitor is off, so we're not quite certain what is really going forth. Are our instruments coming through? Yeah. How, George? You guitar?
Well.
Yeah, okay. You folks hearing us? Okay, I'm going to detour now to Auntie Kanani, and she's going to talk about a song that she said has never been heard. But it had to be heard by somebody because it was presented at a special event in Waialua. Here you are, okay? Auntie Kanani.
Okay. This song that I'm going to sing is called Kumu Ohu Gon. Auntie Betty is in the audience. She was one of the people that wrote the first verse of this song. Okay? Auntie Betty Jenkins, her mama, her papa, had David Kawalu, and Auntie Hauoli, Lorna Hauoli Kalili Hires.
You want some more?
They wrote the song. And when my son heard it,
that one still has.
He added more verses to the song,
I'll have a little bit
and
more now
he's
that-
Ha-lau danced this hula. So here we go. Gently touched by the sky and the sea, where the mist of Hua'ena whispers sweetest aloha to me. In the bosom of Kaala, swaying palm leaves are kissed by the rain, where the birds sing sweet soft music. Breezes carry their soothing refrain. People carry loving sharing, flowing waters of Anahulu say. Pleasure as they spend time with those they adore. Is the place that was meant just for me. There is no place in Hawaii that compares to the beauty they see. Of Anahulu say, Kuuhome, Haleiwa, Aloha, Bau ia oe.
And just think, you heard it first.
Yeah, it is the first time here.
Oh boy. Well, since we're doing all these songs that are freshly written, this is another freshly, well, not that fresh. It's been in the cooler for a little while, but it's still jumping, I'm sure. Sometimes when you go fishing and you open up the cooler and the fish been there for a couple of hours, and when you touch on the bugger, will jump up and it's still alive. This is a song that we're singing because it's a favorite of Marsha. How about a round for Marsha Timboy, who helps us put us together? Okay. And this is her favorite song, and it's going to be sung by Ken. Waialua Sky. Tommy asks, are you going to dance the hula, Marsha? Ken Makuakane.
All too soon,
Masha for you.
Very nice.
It's a pleasure for us to be with all of you tonight. How about a round of applause for all of our wonderful performers this evening, the wonderful Ha-lau, our two Hulu Ha-lau who have been with us this past season, and the wealth of information that they've brought in terms of the beautiful hula that they've performed. How about a round of applause for our, of course, our special guest this evening, the Kupa Aina from Waialua, Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill, mahalo nui for joining us. Brother Keith, Auntie Kanani, Brother Tommy. And of course, Auntie Betty, Auntie Laila, and Uncle Francis. Yeah, mahalo for being with us and being in this rain. How about a round of applause for our musicians, the phenomenal Ken Makuakane, and the nimble fingers of Mr. George Kuo, and the slippy slidey guy, Kaka, and yours truly, trying to keep things together here. So anyway, mahalo nui. Want all of you to join in this favorite. George is going to lead us, and this is none other than that song called Haleiwa, Hano Hano Haleiwa. Let's bring on the Ha-lau. Ha-lau, would you all come on? Please come on in. And just join with us in singing and sing along with us. Okay. And this will bring our program to a close. Our finale song. Mahalo nui, everyone.
O ka ala kau mai iluna lai, o ka lai o ka ena kau mai mamua. O ka vai kumu olelo ho mai ka olu lai, tamo e na pavehe o motule ia. Pua na ku umele ua lohe ia lai, kaula na Waialua I hala ie. E o Waialua I hala.
E o Waialua. Mahalo, everyone. Mahalo nui, everyone, for being with us tonight. Again, a round of applause. Uncle Bill, Brother Keith, Auntie Kanani, Brother Tommy, And of course, our wonderful Ha-lau and our kupuna, Mai Waialua Mai. Of course, Tom Wood, who's our executive director for Hawaii Mission Houses, and all of our sound man back there, Shine, who are having to deal with our hiko. They don't have enough power. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, everyone, thank you for joining us. Drive safely when you go back to Waialua. You know, be careful, take your time. Go Zippies, have a couple of Simons and 3 cups of coffee, and then go home. Okay? Everyone, aloha!